Northerners in the evenings and at night time along street corners. Finally, we end with kola nut, said to be grown in the southwest, consumed in the north, and celebrated in the southeast. Kola nut has been able to traverse the whole country. It is a good source of caffeine, which may be why long-distance drivers have it handy when on the road.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
On NCC Telecom Weekly, we bring you innovations, trends, policies and stakeholders, redefining all sectors of our economy today. Here, you'll see the actors, policymakers and creativity that will shape your mind and business for growth in line with today's reality. Join us every Friday, 5 p.m. on NTA Network and on radio, FRCN Network on Fridays, 8 p.m. NCC Telecom Weekly, connecting Nigeria.
Did you get to see the way telling about the polls this
Don't forget to send in your messages.
There's a difference between picking, child, and issue.
That's really cool. The idea that is you can do more with less people.
If we have a better way of addressing these issues, taking care of.
Congratulations, you were able to sign Timo Werner from RB Leipzig.
So you take water before your workout.
People have used their phone, using TikTok to do that.
Should I go for test?
A lot of people don't even have resources.
I'm Cecil, and this is the Medley Show on NTA.
Intelligent effort to counter terrorism. It must be backed by knowledge.
President Bola Tinubu tasks national security agencies on improved knowledge base in fight against terrorism.
Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress agreed to suspend planned nationwide strike.
Critical stakeholders converge on Abuja to strategize towards effective flood mitigation and response.
Good morning, Nigeria. Today we continue our conversation on managing the effects of fuel subsidy removal, plus focus on mitigating plastic pollution.
A pronouncement by the federal government in 1973 saw the emergence of a petroleum subsidy, which was a response to the sharp rise in global oil prices resulting from the Middle East crisis that erupted that year.
Well, of course, before this time, subsidy on petroleum products existed alongside subsidies on a wide array of goods and services, including fertilizer, manufactured goods, and even air travel. But since then, fuel subsidy implementation has generated significant economic costs for Nigeria.
Yes, and in 2022 alone, the National Assembly approved 4 trillion naira to finance fuel subsidy, and reports say the amount represents more than 800% increase from the initial estimate of 442.7 billion naira initially first submitted for approval.
Now, although subsidy was designed as a short-term response to international oil price shocks, now repeated attempts to end or reform it have, of course, yielded little or very limited effects, resulting in a huge financial burden on the system. And, of course, that has equally impacted the growth of the economy.
Exactly. And despite Nigeria being the world's 8th largest producer of crude oil, the cost of financing fuel subsidy continues to increase even after several upward price adjustments.
However, the recent increase in the pump price of petrol, that's by the NNPCL as part of the latest developments in the fuel subsidy removal issue, is generating reactions with unfolding events after the inaugural address by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declaring fuel subsidy is gone.
Yes, indeed. And consequently, the hike in transport fares and subsequent ripple effect on other commodities of life is taking a toll on the concern for many. As a matter of fact, which is how can the government manage or cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal is part of the critical question we should be asking this morning.
Well, yesterday we focused our attention on that matter with an array of guests who recommended a number of measures, a regulatory framework to address excessive petrol price profiteering by marketers in order to guide the sector and also protect consumers.
And they are also of the opinion that an upward review of minimum wage for workers and tax reliefs, particularly in the transportation sector, should be implemented.
The guests were unanimous on the fact that there will be no going back on fuel subsidy removal, but they however condemned the practice of selling old subsidized petrol stock at the new price. They emphasized that consumers need to be compensated through tax reliefs and salary increment.
They canvassed that governors should be involved in the ongoing negotiations with organized labor, and that the Tinubu administration should tackle corruption in the oil and gas sector, as well as sale of the nation's refined crude oil to neighboring countries.
Now, just close to midnight, the Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC agreed to suspend what had been planned as a nationwide strike. This was after constituting a committee to review the 7-point framework. And in Kwara State, the government has also approved a reduction of the number of working days from 5 to 3 as a temporary palliative to bring some ease to workers following the removal of petrol subsidy by the federal government.
Now, we shall continue our conversation today, and we will continue also to take a look at the social, economic, and otherwise of the subsidy removal and how modalities can be put in place to cushion the effect. We also have a second topic for today, which is on mitigating plastic pollution against the backdrop of World Environment Day, commemorated annually on the 5th of June. I am Nigerian Umayo. Thank you for joining us, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's show.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Kirian to also welcome you to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority and from our headquarters studios in Abuja. Our complimentary segments, including newspaper review, business, and others, will follow presently. But for now, let's take the highlights of the morning news with Zenret Digmon, our colleague. Good morning, Zenret.
Good morning, Kingsley and Kirian. And here's the morning news. The Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress have agreed to suspend the planned nationwide strike after constituting a committee to review 7-point framework. This is coming after a long session between the representatives of the federal government and the union leaders.
The federal government, the TUC and the NLC to establish a joint committee to review the proposal for any wage increase or award and establish a framework and timeline for implementation. To review World Bank Finance Cash Transfer Scheme and propose inclusion of low-income earners in the program.
At our joint date, we'll go into more specifics to make sure this knotty issue is resolved. Thank you very much.
All we want to encourage government is to take this seriously, because this government is just coming in. This may be the first agreement that is being signed by this government.
The committee is scheduled to meet on June 19, 2023 to agree on the implementation framework. President Bola Tinubu is tasking the national security agencies to improve their knowledge base to complement the infrastructure already on ground in fighting terrorism and violent extremism. The president threw the challenge as he visited the National Counterterrorism Center and the National Security Advisor's Office, Abuja, on facility tour.
Intelligent effort to counter terrorism. It must be backed by knowledge. Counter-terrorism that is not backed by knowledge is not going to be of any service to any nation. We are going to work on that together.
Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, says the support and cooperation of Nigerians is crucial at this time if the country is to achieve a smooth transition. She said this while engaging with Villa staff shortly after her official resumption of office at the State House on Monday.
And it's not about me, but it's about our country. So our country and the love for country should come to bear, and we should all put that, right there in our faces, to know that what we are doing is for posterity.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says it will appeal the judgment of the Federal High Court Abuja, which acquitted the former head of Civil Service of the Federation, Stephen Oronshaye, of the 2 billion naira money laundering charge brought against him and others by the Commission. A statement by the head of media and publicity of the Commission says, in dismissing the charge, Justice Inyang Eku held that the Commission failed to establish the charges against the defendants. However, the Commission believes that the trial judge overlooked the evidence of the 21 witnesses called by the prosecution in the course of the trial, as well as the confessional statement of one of the defendants. The first and second defendants had between 2010 and 2011 used the companies to siphon public funds to the tune of 2 billion naira through contract fraud. They were prosecuted on an amended 27-count charge. 43 critical stakeholders in flood mitigation are in Abuja to map out strategies towards effective flood mitigation and response. FCTA Permanent Secretary Olushade Adesola says a stitch in time on measures for flood mitigation is very necessary, as the hydrological agencies have warned.
Have a water training for our divers, because they have been used to probably one river, and so if the water system and the weather changes, they will find it very difficult to really carry out rescues.
And that's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Kieran and Kingsley after the commercial break. Please don't go away.
The rumor that our nation will break up, even perish. They have even redesigned the maps. Yet we are here. We have stumbled at times, but resilience and diversity have kept us going, and we will keep going. As a citizen, we declare as one, unify the people, devoted to one unified nation, national cause, that as long as this world exists, Nigeria shall exist.
We are all night
Nigerians. Against all odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who is a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and God has kept together as one indivisible entity.
Your skill is key to your professional growth in the competitive broadcast media industry. Take advantage of the following programs specially packaged by NTA Television College Jos to upgrade your skill. Marketing in the era of digital broadcast. Date 13th June to 23rd June 2023, 2 weeks. Drama Production Workshop. Date 3rd July to 21st July 2023, 3 weeks. Intermediate Online News Reporting Skills. Date 24th July to 11th August 2023, 3 weeks. The course fee for the 2-week course is 120,000 Naira, while the fee for the 3-week course is 150,000 Naira only. Accommodation inclusive. All courses will hold at NTA Television College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For further inquiries, please call 0803-079-5335 or 0806-980-9807. NTA Television College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be. Registrar Announcer.
All right, if you just joined us, you are right on time to be part of today's Good Morning Nigeria. For now, it's time for business, and let's join Kunle Adeye for the details.
The announcement by President Bola Tinubu on the 29th of May 2023 that the era of subsidy is gone has remained the talk of the town. Consequently, proponents and antagonists of the decision have stood their grounds, especially the organized labor, though talks between government and the unions are still ongoing. Advocates of the subsidy removal are upbeat that the end result will be beneficial to the entire populace.
There is no better time. Let's have subsidy go and look at the alternative measures we should be able to have to cushion the impact of the subsidy removal that Nigerians will face. The obvious meaning is that revenue is low. If revenue is low and government desire to pursue its obligation by way of putting infrastructure on ground, some level of borrowings will come up. Now, if the citizens are crying against government borrowings, why would the same citizens now encourage the government to continue to borrow money to fund the subsidy regime that is supposedly for the elites? Organizations that are there fighting for the Nigerian people should give government that benefit of doubt.
They called for establishment of domestic refineries to produce more petroleum products to reduce dependence on imported fuel. With business news, I'm Kunle Adeye.
All right, that was a business news package, and up next for us is newspaper review.
And now we welcome Chukwudi Okoli-Waja to our review segment. Chukwudi, good morning.
Good morning, Kirian. How are you?
I'm good.
Good morning, Kingsley.
Good to see you.
Same here.
All right. Very quickly, let's take a look at the window page of the Leadership newspaper. Above the nameplate, you have the following headlines. 29 days after, 16 abducted Kaduna worshippers regained freedom. Alleged 2 billion naira fraud. Court discharges and acquits Oronsaye and 2 others. Now, below the name flag, says Ekweremadu, Senate begs UK court for clemency. That's beyond the court already now. Not the court cannot offer clemency. That would be political intervention. That is required, not to the court to grant clemency. Livestock contributes 40% to global agricultural GDP. Maritime workers disrupt port activities over poor pay. Subsidy removal, Labour calls off strike after meeting with federal government. 10th National Assembly, APC at a crossroads. At Yari, Kalu, Izunaso remain adamant. Fight rages over Senate presidency. Court stops EFCC orders from detaining ex-Zamfara governor, that's Yari. North Central insists on speakership as APC governors back Abbas and Benjamin Kalu. Tinubu Palais Akpabio, Wike and Umahi in Aso Rock. Obi and Labour Party tender exhibits from 8 states before tribunal. Teacher evades arrest after beating girl, age 16, to coma with iron rod. And Kira, very quickly, let me also take the Blueprint newspaper, some of the headlines there that, of course, are not quite like what I read from the Leadership. Joe Jesus suspends strike for 3 weeks after meeting Tinubu. Fair subsidy crisis. TUC goes for the jugular. Demands 200,000 minimum wage. 6 improved living standard and 10 naira per litre intervention fund. Court restrains labour from Wednesday strike. NLC resumes talk with federal government. Kwara okays 3-day working week for workers. And the photographs there showing some lawmakers' aides removing their principals' belongings ahead of the June 13 inauguration of the 10th National Assembly. And then thugs invade Ogun Election Tribunal, flog opposition. OPEC lowers Nigeria's 2024 production quota to 1.38 million barrels per day. We had that story also yesterday. 10th National Assembly Leadership, Yari takes case to Buhari in Daura.
All right, now let's turn to the Vanguard newspaper. It's been a while. We've not reviewed Vanguard.
We saw Vanguard yesterday.
Okay,
yes.
as it reappeared today. Okay, Vanguard, above the name flag. SPV saga. Court declines to order Atiku's arrest. Fines scam of 10 million naira. For details, go to page 9 of the Vanguard. Presidential Tribunal will be tenders results of 8 more states in evidence. It's on page 29. 10th National Assembly. Court stops arrest of ex-Governor Yari. It's on page 8. Now, below the name plate, subsidy. NLC, TUC suspend strike with 3 riders to that story. Labour and the federal government to meet again on June 19th, 2023. Federal government, TUC and NLC to establish a joint committee to review the proposal for any wage increase or award and establish framework and timeline for implementation. Federal government, the TUC and NLC to review World Bank $800 million loan and its implementation. All right, now the photo story here shows the meeting between Labour and the federal government. All right, and below that we have Atiku versus Tinubu. I signed Nasarawa result under Durex. Witness tells court. It's on page 9. Owo attack. Survivors groan. Families of victims will live sad experiences 1 year after. Counter-terrorism fight must be backed by intelligence, as according to President Tinubu. It's on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. All right. Well, this one is sports. Real Madrid reserve number 9 shirt for Kane. Yeah, we're going to see that unfold in the next season. Chukudi,
Thank you, Kirian. Thank you. Let me start with JOHESU. That's the acronym for Joint Health Sector Unions, who have suspended their 12-day-old strike. It's actually a gesture of goodwill after meeting, with the president, and he asking them to please give him time to look at what their grievances are, and that and he promised that he's going to look into whatever is their complaint. I think it is something we have to applaud. I had reason to take somebody to National Hospital some 5 days ago, and one of the matrons or the nurses on duty told me, look, if we need you to help anyone into a wheelchair, we'll have to recruit you. A sector of the people are on strike. But in spite of that, I have to commend what I saw at National Hospital. Experts are working there. When you get to the trauma section of that hospital, you're going to praise us. So what I'm saying is, the first time I got in there with the patient, what I'm saying is, can we repeat what we have there across the nation, at least to some level? Now, leaving that, the more impacting one generally is the subsidy removal brouhaha. Labour calls off strike after meeting with FG. And the stories that the organized labour comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC and TUC has suspended its proposed strike schedule for tomorrow. That should be Wednesday. The suspension of the strike followed a meeting between Labour and officials of government. What have we always said here? Dialogue solves everything. But remember, they had gone the judicial way by asking the industrial court to step in. But whether this court asked them not to go on strike or not is irrelevant now, because voluntarily TUC and NLC have decided to shelve the strike, for now. You read something that suggested TUC asking for 200,000 naira minimum wage. Did I hear that?
Yes.
And Kirian and Chukwudi might start regretting that they retired from, employment. Anyhow, they are talking. That's what matters. They are talking. And I'm very happy they are talking. I've always said, if most wars are ended by dialogue, why should men wait to even fire the first shot? They should go into dialogue, get into dialogue as early as possible. And I like the body language of the present administration. I like it so far. It's not a stick kind of thing. I'm not even going to call it. I'm not even going to call it a carrot and stick. It is a genuine desire to engage people, to think along on how we can step up efforts to keep Nigeria moving without too many, people being hurt in the process. All we can say from this side is let them continue the good work. Gentlemen, I know you would like to comment on this as well, but let me quickly, on a sad note, say that the stance of the leadership concerning Zamfara killings is one that actually gets to me. They are saying that a new governor, Lawal Dawuda Dare, is indeed getting a baptism of fire. Remember that at a stage, the man who left, that's Yare, practically renounced his constitutionally granted security officer of the state. That was to show you the extent of the distress he felt at that point. His successor is not having it any easier. What a way to welcome him, to governorship. Zamfara, like every other person that is, every other place that is a flashpoint, fatal flashpoint, has to be tackled properly. President Bola Tinubu just asked the intelligence agencies yesterday to share intelligence. Don't hoard intelligence. Don't hoard intelligence. It sounds simple, but you might be surprised that such a thing as the police not telling the army this is what we have on this situation, and vice versa, could lead to the death of scores of people. The president did not have to tell them that. It is something that should happen naturally. let them share intelligence as quickly and spontaneously as possible, because lives are involved. When it comes to saving lives, you throw in anything you can do there. So we wish them well as they try to solve that problem. It is also in Benue, it is also in Jos. It's across the nation, really. It's a matter of degree. It depends on where you're talking from. So we wish them well over there. Are you throwing up anything?
Well, I think that the president's admonition to the security agencies is timely. For the agencies to work in a collaborative manner rather than in silos, share intelligence, that is only just one aspect of it. Because the feedback you get from time to time, and usually off the record, is not so much on getting the intelligence and sharing it, but actually acting on the intelligence. Because intelligence, of course, is actionable information. So you share it, and then the agency with which you share it with that is supposed to operationalize it decides to sit on it. What happens? So it is the sharing of the intelligence that is the first step, but more critically is actioning the intelligence, operationalizing it.
That's it.
And that's, we had a conversation on Good Morning Nigeria for a couple of days before May 29th on accountability, security sector accountability, which of course also involves the citizens. So there is a security breach in a location. Which agencies are supposed to be in charge at that location? And why did that breach occur? And how do you forestall it?
Question the breach.
Absolutely. There are a number of security agencies that are involved. You have to, first of all, police, civil defense, the DSS, the military. Of course, military usually will be the last. So if something breaks, a major security breach occurs, then who let the ball drop?
See, for me, there are certain,
thanks for that.
There are certain things that that don't need to be discussed there. As a matter of fact, that should be a standard practice in every military setting or in any national setting, security setting. That should be. You see, you can't be discussing intelligence at this level of our maturity in terms of military. Nigerians have performed creditably outside Nigeria on UN missions, militarily and police-wise. And they have been given accolades for doing that. So why can't we practice same thing here to ensure that, like Kingsley said, they operationalize whatever intelligence reports that is out there for them to implement. The point is this, that we keep having persons who are not keenly interested in getting things done in every ramification. Let me tell you this. If our military and, of course, the security architecture is still thinking of how to, synergize and work, then, of course, we're back to elementary school, if you ask me. But this is their profession. They know what should be done. The President Tinubu doesn't really have to talk to them about it. But again, because he just got to power, you need to tell them, look, I'm interested in making sure that you synergize to be able to achieve results as a new president. But for them, professionally speaking, they should know this. You don't need to discuss. You don't even need to discuss some intelligence report. You just share it among yourselves and they operationalize it. That's all.
It should happen naturally.
Naturally, you don't need to,
But for the president to mention it, he might have received a hint that it's an obstacle, it's a cog in the wheel of fighting.
Not just military.
It's possible.
In all aspects.
No, Kingsley spread it over. Yes. It's not just the military. The military is actually the last line in terms of, handling security domestically. The military is the last line. You don't really call them in immediately, But certain things happen that begin to give you worry.
And sometimes actually, this has been our bane in security sector management. No question about that. Yes. And we hope that if the need arises, the president will make examples of a few of the agencies when that occurs. Very quickly, before we're out of time, I want to call attention again. I did this some weeks or even months ago. And we had conversations on it on Good Morning Nigeria. The vandalism that goes on of public infrastructure. It's a shame, and this is going to the Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA, which is just our neighbor here, that vandals will go around removing manhole covers, These are iron manhole covers, wrought iron manhole covers, which of course they then smelt and then resell. Now, what has happened is that on the Southern Parkway, if you are coming from the Sani Abacha Expressway, you get past Old Sheraton, get past Yaradua Center on the left, and then the National Mosque. Watch. It's now a one-way, that's Southern Parkway. Between the National Mosque and the Central Bank, that's the back of the Central Bank, there are at least 3 manhole covers in the middle of the road. That's one of the middle lanes. And vandals have, for the past weeks, been chipping away at the concrete reinforcement of the manhole covers. And the intention, of course, is to remove it. 3 of those manhole covers, and then you continue on that Southern Parkway, drive on straight past NTA, that's the rear of the NTA at what we call Jagal. Now you are heading out back again to Sani Abacha Expressway. Just after you get past the Shodeinde Road, where you have the state liaison offices or the state offices in the Federal Capital Territory, watch out, you will see another 2 or 3 manholes. These same vandals have been chipping away at the concrete reinforcement. You will, I mean, if you drive regularly on that axis, you will see, because how much rainfall would wash away the concrete reinforcement. The whole idea is, of course, once they have chipped it away sufficiently, then you lift it, and these are fairly large manhole covers. It means, therefore, that you are going to have the risk of accidents in that particular on that particular spot. 3 of them, as I said, after the National Mosque and before the Central Bank. And then if you are continuing and going back again to the other end of the National Mosque, you would also find that they are chipping away. It is one of the easiest things to do. All you need is just get your mortar, get your sand and cement, and then place them around it. Of course, then you get the concrete if you need granite chippings or stone dust. Just reinforce it. And then so that you put these guys out of business. The more costly thing, as I suggested some time ago, was, look, simply install spy cameras and then identify who those persons are, pick them up.
You can actually lay an ambush for these guys, and within 3 nights, get about 15 of them. How genuine and sincere our efforts, to stem it.
The individuals that do this, I wonder how much they're going to make out of each and every one of them. Because the areas Kingsley mentioned are just small. There are many other areas in Abuja. Not quite just it's
a major road.
Central area. There are many areas in Abuja that such has happened. And when you are driving, it's a huge risk for you, especially in the evening hours, perhaps or late nights. No, so it's a practice that's been going over the year. We're talking about the rail line vandalism. We're talking about NEPA or vandalism of electricity infrastructure. It has always been there. But the point is that who should address this? For instance, in FCT is in charge, and of course we have the seat of power here, and of course the police has its headquarters here. Who else is going to do the job?
Let us start bringing to book people who should supervise and make sure that these things don't happen. You see that
civil defense has part of its responsibility as infrastructure management.
Hold them accountable.
Infrastructure protection, not management. Infrastructure protection. FCDA, what we are saying, just drive around. If you are an official, just drive, you will see they've been doing this systematically. You will think that the concrete reinforcement is wearing off naturally. That's not correct.
Who says
that? It is the vagrants. You see them around.
That's right. That
FCDA, they see all those things. Don't apply it.
And then they should do the work.
That's the point.
They should do their work.
The point I'm making here is for them to do their work. Yes. But they are seeing it because everybody is using the same road that you mentioned. You cannot operate in the central area without seeing those manholes. That's been its protection has been removed. They're all there. These are all of the things we're talking about. Nigerians' attitude, our behavior. When government provides an infrastructure for you or a facility for you, you vandalize it.
It doesn't make sense.
You vandalize it. What sense does it make? All right. And again, as we said, if those who are responsible for monitoring the city, they should be able to pick up one of those boys. And of course, the network, would have been dealt with, because it's a network of individuals. If you're not a professional, you won't do that. Yes. Because if you cannot smell, if you don't know how to smell the iron, how would you go near that? And those who also perhaps do that to sell, they also sell to professionals. So when you pick 1 or 2, of course you end up the network of the operators.
What part of what we suggested sometime in the past why don't you set up sting operations?
Yes.
Sting operations.
I mentioned the ambush.
Sting operations.
Yes.
You pretend that you want to sell any of these things to the iron smelters or those who work or whatever they work, and then you begin to pick them up. And they will tell you, but everybody just sees this is part of what the president was referring to. Intelligence, and then actioning the intelligence.
They know all that.
Let them know they're not doing it.
Let them be sincere. Simple.
You know, there's one thing we've always seen in this country. As a matter of fact, if anything happens to an officer, be it police or military or what have you, the perpetrators will be picked up in the next 48 hours. I wonder how that happens. In 48 hours, they are picked up. Because of what there are elements. You know, there are people who are who already accustomed, with going to jail and out. You know, detentions and what have you. You pick him up for perhaps pickpocketing. The next day he's out because, of course, you may not prosecute him. The next day he picks a phone and all of that. So these are people that are in and out of cells. And if you want to get information about what their groups do, you get one of them, and he will tell you it's likely going to be this or that. And by so doing, the intelligence report will lead to, the capturing of the culprits. That's what happens. I wonder why, when such people are attacked by hoodlums, they are picked up easily. But when it happens to ordinary Nigerian, it becomes difficult.
You remind me of when my phone was taken under Ikeja Bridge, and when I complained around that access, they said you didn't complain in time. All you needed to do was go tell fella, and then please, I'm not insinuating fella was responsible to that. He knew boys around there, and he would have sent them to go and find out who took my phone, and it would be returned. What am I saying? The police know the community, and when they really want to work, they know where to go get the information. They do.
All right, let me raise this issue again, not that we are concentrating on the FCDA or FCT for that matter. There was a report, and it's again highlighted in one of the inside pages of the Leadership newspaper, that the Federal Capital Territory Development Authority is planning the introduction of bicycle lanes in the city, and ordinarily that would be a welcome development. And I will see how they get it done. I will see how they get it done, because it is not just bicycle lanes that we need. We also need pedestrian walkways, walkways, and for the FCDA authority to recover the walkways. Again, this is the lack of synergy that we find, and anyone who has stayed long enough in the Federal Capital Territory would have noticed with tremendous distress what happens. You give approval for a multi-story structure. Multi-story structure, that's the same thing from 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 floors. And there is inadequate parking space in that particular structure. So the structure is completed, and visitors to the structure or for business or whatever, when there are offices that are open there, have nowhere else to park except one by the roadside,
yes,
and then also on the pedestrian walkways. And then you ask yourself, who gave approval for this structure? For this structure in the first instance? And it's on and on. When you see such structures develop,
was there any planning at all?
110%, no setback, nothing whatsoever. So where are you going to put the cycle lanes now? Yes, and where will you recover the pedestrian walkways from?
Exactly. You know there are places you go to in Abuja here that you don't dare try to go with your car.
That's right.
Just park your car, take a drop, because you won't see a parking space. And these are public institutions that requires that people visit them on daily basis for consultations. But then you have to, because it's about planning. It's about poor planning. How will they create bicycle lanes now? It's going to be very difficult, because you talked about pedestrian lane. If you go to Europe, for instance, in Sweden, I never saw that before in Europe. You see, there are even parking lots for bicycle. Parking lots for bicycles.
That is planning.
Planning. And where you chain it somewhere, when you want to go, you come along, chain and leave. And they have their track, they have their lane. In this country, if you do bicycle lane, I just want to hope and believe, quite frankly, that if that happens, it will not be abused, because motorcyclists will also start to apply it. Even some cars.
Traders will steal their wares.
Forward-looking societies make provision for all the things you're talking about.
Exactly.
The point is, why are we lagging?
When you're planning,
why?
Yeah, those things
and then you'll see also, you were talking about Sweden. In Denmark, bicycle lanes have now been installed with solar panels. So that as you ride on it, you are charging
exactly.
providing electricity.
You don't say?
Technology, exactly. That's technology. Someone has showed us that at the Technology Expo last year. A high school student.
Look at that.
All these bombs that you see on the road.
I didn't know this.
All these bombs you see on the road can generate electricity. Someone has demonstrated that. We saw it at a good square there, just early this year. So these things are possible. It just depends on political will.
The will.
Nigerians can do anything. Nigerians have the capacity to do anything. If you give them the wherewithal, of course, the enabling environment, we always say, that will be possible. For now, things like hope we.
We're
down.
Chukudi, we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. The way you excite these things and they broaden out into what I didn't expect, really. Thank you.
That's just the way to go.
Okay. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on NTA's network service. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we get ahead with our items for conversation.
Our administration will govern you only on your behalf, but never rule over you. We shall consult and dialogue, but never dictate. We shall reach out to all, but never put down a single person for holding views contrary to our own.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
Your skill is key to your professional growth in the competitive broadcast media industry. Take advantage of the following programs specially packaged by NTA Television College Jos to upgrade your skill. Marketing in the era of digital broadcast. Date 13th June to 23rd June 2023, 2 weeks. Drama Production Workshop. Date 3rd July to 21st July 2023, 3 weeks. Intermediate Online News Reporting Skills. Date 24th July to 11th August 2023, 3 weeks. The course fee for the 2-week course is 120,000 Naira, while the fee for the 3-week course is 150,000 Naira only. Accommodation inclusive. All courses will hold at NTA Television College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For further inquiries, please call 0803-079-5335 or 0806-980-9807. NTA Television College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be. Registrar Announcer.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Well, we thank you for staying with us up till this moment on Good Morning Nigeria. Now, as a prompt for a continuation of our conversation on managing the effects of fuel subsidy removal, we begin with excerpts as compiled by our correspondent Joseph Osen.
Before Mr. President made the announcement, we were told that subsidy will end in June, that the budget will end in June. So we are thinking that all the stakeholders will be brought to the table. Let us know how it's going to happen. All of a sudden, we just wake up that the price of PMS is now 550, 540, 537. So we, as it is, we are in a shock too.
Everybody in the industry, just like you said, are on the same page that subsidy. So how did you come to that decision? There were consultations. Where the consultation lies is, people expected that some palliative will come in, or what we now term as intervention should come in. Where will you get the resources for the intervention when we are told that we are already servicing debt with all that we get, including from the petroleum sector? We are putting it to debt.
Right? So removing subsidy is not like saying everybody can go and sell at whatever price you want to sell, because then you have a moral crisis, because somebody can say my landing cost is 1,000 naira per liter. I can sell at 1,000 naira per liter. We can't have that. So I think we need to make sure that the regulator steps in to create the regulatory framework around pricing. It does not mean putting back subsidy. It just means that people have a market framework to determine prices, and consumers have a tariff framework to know how much they should pay at the pumps.
Trailers now, you find out the trailers that have nothing to convey, because the smaller buses now, you find somebody, a Homer bus that's supposed to convey people are now removing their seats to carry goods that they're not supposed to. So that when you are on the road, you will see all the buses now, they are sitting on the top of their buses. They carry rice, they carry beans, or traveling because of the cheapest price of the
transportation.
The fuel.
Okay.
The fuel, because of cheapest price of fuel.
But now it's no longer cheap.
It's no longer cheap.
The other thing is the state governments. The state governments have a lot to do, like Dr. Kayode has said, by not only intervening by giving buses, but issues of insecurity, which is jobs that people don't have, building schools, hospitals, ensuring that people are employed one way or the other. I'm sure the state at their levels can intervene, and then make people feel that there is now increased revenue into the economy, because that's what's going to happen.
Now, those were excerpts from the first part of our conversation on the subject matter of managing the effects of fuel subsidy removal. I want to thank Joseph Otsed for that compilation. With us here in the studios, we have two guests who are regular on Good Morning Nigeria, Dr. Umar Bindri. Dr. Umar Bindri is the immediate past National Coordinator of the Social Investment Program. Dr. Bindri, we're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Okay. Also here with us in the studios is Dr. Tokbe Fashua, is the CEO of Global Analytics Consulting. Dr. Fashua, an economist, glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yeah, gentlemen, you're welcome. I would like to begin with Dr. Umar Bindri. Because, of course, you've been in circulation at the government level, having run the National Office for Technology Promotion, NOTAP, for over 8 years. That means you have a basic understanding of what we're going to discuss this morning. We have to do with the removal of oil subsidy, the effect of it, and how it can be managed. Right. Of course, everybody agrees that there is urgent need to remove the oil subsidy. But what some people are saying is that the mistake we may have made in entering into oil subsidy should also not be made in our exiting oil subsidy. Now, our concern this morning is to think of how to, of course, mitigate the effect of oil subsidy removal. There's no other question concerning whether or not it should be removed. So what's your take on this?
Thank you very much. Subsidy as the subject matter, to me, is a strategy by a country to make life easy for its people. So this one is oil subsidy, therefore it's reducing the price of oil to make sure that people afford this very, very essential energy product so that they can operate easily. We have, unless if people just don't want to learn and don't want to remember, we have so many subsidies all over the place. The whole work of NDE is subsidy. The whole mandate of SMEDAN is subsidy. What we've been doing under the Social Investment Program is subsidy, all trying to make sure that we make life easy for people. And the reason for this, in my opinion, is because we have maintained a very high level of poverty in this country. There's the pool of poor people in this country that require help, that requires tarpaulin to jump out of misery are so many. Now, one of the things that Nigeria should learn from this is that we must learn to synergize. We're very bad in pooling similar things so that we can hit the target professionally. We have islands of all these subsidies operating everywhere. Sure, P was a subsidy. You know, FIP was a subsidy. NAPEP was a subsidy. All these are subsidies, but we implement them in bits and pieces, and at the end of the day, we don't feel the impact, and then we're just constantly increasing subsidy, and they're complaining when we remove them. So to me, the way we should manage it is, first, we must learn to synergize. Where are all these subsidies? Whether it is the work of NEMA, whether it is the work of any other institution, how do we synergize all these effects so that we're targeting professionally, we're hitting the target well, so that the people who are expected to feel the impact. Secondly, I think we lack the necessary human capital to implement this subsidy. We're not targeting very well. We're just sort of operating everything like a bureaucratic process. Bring budget, use bureaucratic